Hello everyone, welcome back to our Oscar extravaganza predictions results video. Of course, we are recording after the biggest night in Hollywood, the 97th Academy Awards. Obviously a few days ago we made a few predictions, 17 in fact, not including our Look of the Weeks or Outside picks, to see, which one of us knew the most about the Oscars, which one of us knew the most about movies in general, and I guess
had the correct opinions.
Yeah, and I guess you could say who indeed is the smartest amongst us. Obviously we will be going through these predictions in our video today. Of course, I stayed up and watched the Oscars. I watched Conan O'Brien do a very good job, I think, at hosting.
Yeah, almost as good as Jimmy Kimmel himself.
Yes, there was a good joke about that from Conan, because obviously Carla Gascon has in the past tweeted negatively about the Oscars.
You know what? I saw this joke. I actually watched his opening monologue.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot to mention it because it was just so forgettable. No, I'm kidding. It was thoroughly entertaining. It did occur to me, it's a bit weird that everything has to have a stand-up routine in it now. Who decided that?
Well, yeah, it's Conan O'Brien though, so he's pretty good at that. Overall the night was actually quite fun because of Conan, I think. He was good. There seemed to be a real appreciation, I think, of movies, which it just wasn't the case when Kimmel was hosting it. As for the night, there wasn't really anything to talk about that was notable.
Boring.
Hulu, which was streaming the Oscars, went down, which was fun. And also, there was the one weird moment. There was a couple of weird moments. So the In Memoriam section featured a depressing opera from Mozart. That was the background music.
Was that the one that goes da 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 da?
Yeah. And obviously you have these fun clips of these actors or people behind the camera doing these great things, and then just a really depressing music. It was a weird combination. And the other really weird moment was when there was a 7-minute James Bond tribute, which was weird because there was no James Bond movies released this year.
Yeah.
I think, have you heard the news about James Bond going to Amazon?
Because they said that they were going to recast. Conan O'Brien had a joke about that. They're like, James Bond's now going to be some higher up at Amazon.
Yes. Yeah, that was good. But the thing is, Barbara Broccoli, which is, again, a great surname, she was one of the producers who was central, of course, to James Bond. She basically was in control of James Bond for the last 30 years, and she's given up control to Amazon. And yes. I wonder if part of the deal was because Conan shouted out Barbara Broccoli at the Oscars, and I wonder if part of the deal was we'll make a big spectacle at the Oscars and we'll give you a shout out and we'll talk about how great you were, and that'll be part of the deal, because she didn't want to hand it over to Amazon. But she has. So yeah, it's all very interesting. And well, I don't know if that's the case. If it is, it's interesting. But
it's not as interesting as some other Oscars.
No. But yeah, it was just weird how it cut to Margaret Qualley, who was in this Bond tribute. Of course, she's never been in a Bond movie. Yeah, she's in The Substance. So yeah, but
this is going to be one of those forgettable Oscars.
Yeah, it's the Academy's fault. Well, it's forgettable in some ways, but not in others, because there were a couple of records that were equaled. Particularly from Sean Baker, which we'll get to, but of course now it's time to go through the predictions.
Yes.
So let us start with the first pairing. Of course, we predicted these categories, as you can see on screen right now. We predicted them in pairs, and we could not pick the same winner for each of the categories in the pair. So only one of us could choose one movie for best documentary, and then the other had the first pick for best international film, for instance. So it guaranteed we had a different selection of winners, and therefore made it a bit more interesting, made it a bit more fun. And of course, maybe you can predict the winner from who won between us by how I started this video. But yeah, shall we get into it, Michael?
Yes, we absolutely shall. And I think, for a change, we should start with best documentary, where I picked the movie Porcelain War, and you picked No Other Land. And I can reveal the winner was No Other Land. So that was a point for you.
Yeah, a point for me. Of course, you had the first pick.
Yeah, so this is that, like, I was thinking about, obviously, the first thing I did, because I don't really care about the ones where I had the second pick, who gives a crap? But I did look at I highlighted every single moment where I had the first pick and I was wrong, because those would be the bane of my existence.
Yes, and this was one of them, because you thought the Academy cared about Ukraine, but the Academy also cares about no other land, or the Palestine conflict.
Do you think it would have been different if Trump had, like, berated Zelensky a few days earlier?
You know what, maybe. Honestly, maybe. But he did not. So voting was closed when that happened. Zelensky timed his trip to Washington poorly. But yeah, it's obviously one of the controversies was that this movie won No Other Land. It's a joint Israel-Palestine movie, which is why I thought it might win because, of course, Israel are involved. So that gives license for people to be like, oh yeah, it's a two-sided thing. It's a complicated issue. There's pain and death on both sides. And it seemed like it was the case. But still, there was a remarkable amount of people when No Other Land won who did not clap at all. So even like this kind of documentary was too pro-Palestine for this room of Zionists apparently.
Yeah. Well, it did feature, of course, the son of a Hamas official in it.
Okay, yeah. Well, did it?
That was so. Did you hear about that? Was the BBC?
I thought
it.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I just thought I'd get intentionally confusing because that's funny. I mean, I could. Yeah, I guess it's. Is it good that it won? I suppose it's. But the bare minimum.
You heard the acceptance speeches, didn't you?
Yes. Well, yeah. So I tuned it out as soon as somebody of a certain group. I'm not going to say what group he was. It was a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
He said he seemed to think that something bad had happened on October 7th, and I wasn't sure. Like, there must have been, like, while that fantastic act of resistance and liberation was going on, there must have been some other bad stuff happening somewhere, but I wasn't aware.
Yeah, so the crazy thing is, obviously you're joking, but, that thing, what happened on October 7th has to be mentioned. The hostages that Hamas have taken have to be mentioned. But still, despite this, and despite the movie being a joint Israeli-Palestinian production, it did not receive a release in the United States. No distribution company picked it up and, of course, released it. So, yeah, it's won more Oscars than has wide releases in the United States.
Yes. Well, I saw Mubi, who, they're a distributor. They, tweeted out about it winning, and someone quote tweeted them, like, so are you actually going to show it on, you're actually going to stream it on your website? Yeah.
Again, it's just wild how everything has to be so pro-Israel, especially in, Hollywood. It's insane. And we're not going to talk about the rest of the winners as much as this one, but this was one of the most noticeable things of the night. So I'm still glad it won. And of course, I'm extra glad because I picked it. But what was the next category in the pair?
So next, Best International Film, where you picked I'm Still Here, and I picked, with a great deal of confidence, Emilia Perez. But shockingly, the winner was I'm Still Here.
Yeah.
So another point for you.
Yeah, Emilia Perez did not have a good night. And this, of course, is, it's no surprise it lost. I think it got nominated for 13 Academy Awards. Again, there was some insane momentum with Emilia Perez, and it just trickled out. In the last 2 months, it's just gone completely downhill, as we talked about in our review of Emilia Perez. And of course, it only won two of the 13 awards it was nominated for. Which
is that a record?
It might be a record. So that's 11 losses.
Yes,
that might be a record. Yes.
So, should we move on to the next pairing then, Luke?
Yes.
With Best Animated Film, you went for Wild Robot, and I went for Flow. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to reveal that Flow won.
Yeah, you are, because, of course, this was my first pick. This was the only first pick of mine which did not win. I was surprised by that, of course. And it was one of the first movies, one of the first categories that the winner was announced for of the night.
So you were tearing up your pool sheet or whatever it's called. Your
I was like,
predictions.
Oh dear, is this how it's going to go? But no, it did. Thankfully, it got better from there on in. But obviously for the next category in the pair, you won that one as well.
Yeah, so best visual effects. I went for Dune Part 2 as my lock of the week, and you went for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and as you've already said, I won and secured that lock.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes of the let me down. But no, it was always going to be Dune Part 2 for visual effects. So you swept that pair. Yeah. And I swept the previous pair. And spoiler, the next pair,
yes,
I swept as well. So let's get on to that.
So yes, after that we had Best Sound, where you went for Dune Part 2 and I went for A Complete Unknown. And I can reveal that you won this one, as you kind of already said. And I guess we might as well move straight on to Best Original Song, where again,
we don't want to talk about my incredible, judgment here.
No.
No, well, I said I went to see this in the cinema, Dune Part 2, in IMAX. The sound was incredible. It was very, very loud, and therefore the Academy voters, in their wisdom, were like, yeah, it's a loud movie. Let's give it best sound.
Yes, well, whatever. Let's talk about my incredible judgment, because I went for, in Best Original Song, The Journey, while you went for this crap song from, I believe, a terrible racist movie against Mexicans called El Mal, and this was also your outside pick. I think I sent you a link. I watched a screenshot because I decided to watch the film that The Journey's from, which is the 688. It wasn't actually very good.
I feel validated. I feel so validated because I said, well, when we were reviewing Emilia Pérez,
you said it was a good song.
The best song was El Mal. You said it was Mi Camino, which you didn't even pick, which you could have, of course, for this category. But I said El Mal, and of course I had the second pick. So you picked The Journey. I could pick this movie, and it was also, of course, my outside pick, and it won. And this is this was the whole turning point for the night for me.
The beginning of the end.
Yes, in the contest between me and you, because of course I picked up 2 points from this, and if you had been correct, and if it was The Journey, you would have picked up a point, so that's a 3-point swing. What was the final difference between us, Michael?
Oh god, I can't remember. Was it like 13-9?
13-10.
13-10. Oh,
so
really?
it was 3 points. So if The Journey had been correct, we would have drawn. Is the point I'm making. So this was the crucial award of the night, which swung things in my favour. So I love El Mal even more now. Este habla.
Would you say it's more for you, El Bueno?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's a good little Spanish joke.
Whatever that means. Yes.
Let's talk about Best Production Design next, where you went for The Brutalist and I went for Wicked. And I was right because it was a musical.
Yes.
Of course. So then for Best Costume Design, it may not be the case that either of us swept this category, but I tell you what did sweep this category. I went for Nosferatu and you went for Wicked. And again, the winner was Wicked. So you won.
Yeah.
And that was my failed outside pick.
Yes. You went for Nosferatu as your outside pick, which was, I don't think, the correct choice.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Which one would you have gone for, Luke?
I probably would have gone for, if I was you, Timothée Chalamet, but he did not win either, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think Wicked was bound to win costume and production. It had the best design, didn't it, Wicked? Those
she was green.
Yeah, those designers on Wicked cooked.
Because they're gay.
Yeah, that is true. Let's move on to the next pair.
Yes, a classic pair. We've got Best Cinematography, where I went for The Brutalist and you went for Dune Part 2. And I can reveal that I won with The Brutalist.
Yes, congratulations. I think that was always going to happen. The Brutalist was noted for its cinematography, and we will talk about that in our next review on Select and Reflect.
Oh, yes, we will. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, people are like, because they obviously are presumably thinking, well, the Oscars have happened now, so the Oscar extravaganza is over. And while you might say it's reached its climax, it's not reached its ending. We've still got a few more trickling out.
Yes.
Anyway, so as for Best Director, you went for Sean Baker. And I went for, I've just got B. Corbett here. I can't remember what. Let's guess. Benjamin Corbett.
Brady Corbet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's pronounced
Stephen Colbert.
Corbet, by the way. It's a French pronunciation, which is interesting. But yeah, of course, Anora, that movie was the big winner of the night. Of course.
Yes, I don't think I actually got around to saying that you were wrong you were right, because I think I got distracted with my pronunciation, but you were right.
Yeah, of course I was right, because Sean Baker, not because I'm so knowledgeable, but it was obviously going to be Sean Baker because Anora just dominated the night. Sean Baker, of course, it was an independent film, so if Anora was to do well, then Sean Baker was going to rack up the Oscars, and he won 4 Oscars, which we'll get to a couple more of them in a bit. And Sean Baker's 4 wins tied Walt Disney for the most Oscars won by a person in the same year, and that's quite incredible because the Academy found someone more racist than Walt Disney to win these awards. So shout out Sean Baker. Everyone can see who you follow on Twitter. But yeah, you did very well though. 4 wins on the night. This could have been my lock of the week, honestly. So yeah, well done to him and Anora.
Yes. Well, now we enter the 3 most absurd and arbitrary pairings, and we're starting with Best Adapted Screenplay, and I went for Nickel Boys, and you went for Conclave, and the winner was, of course, Conclave.
Yes, yeah. This was quite obvious again. It was always going to be Conclave because none of the other adapted screenplays were anywhere close to Conclave. So, yeah.
But then, of course, we had Best Original Screenplay, and I went for Anora, and you went for The Substance.
Which was dumb. Yeah.
Anora won. Well, again, there's nothing. Well, I'm not sure what else you could have done, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was always going to be Anora for sure. Sean Baker.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. Sean Baker wrote it. So yeah, the 4 awards that he won were, of course, the Screenplay Award, the Director Award, of course. He also picked up the Film Editing Award. And then, of course, the Best Picture Award, which we'll get to because he was involved. He was a producer on that as well. But yeah, so This was another award which Anora won, and yeah, everyone I think knew what was going to happen at the end of the night because it just kept on winning.
Yes. Well, anyway, speaking of winning, let's look at some other things that won. With Best Supporting Actress, you went for Zoe Saldana, and I went for Ariana Grande. And that was your lock of the week.
Yes.
Rightly so, of course, because it won.
Yes, it was my lock of the week because, again, Zoe Saldana had won everything. And yeah, obviously, because of her great performance in El Mal. I was like, yeah, she's going to win it. And she did. Lock of the week, nice 2 points for me. So yeah, let's move on to Best Supporting Actor, which was, again, like I said in our prediction video, it was also, a dead
sure
cert.
thing.
Yeah, sure thing, yes.
Yes, and of course, I went for Kieran Culkin. And you went for Ed Norton, saying it was a sure thing. And you were wrong, Luke. It was actually Kieran Culkin who won.
Yes. No, I knew I'd lost. This was the first award given out on the night. Kieran Culkin won. Nobody was shocked. So there you go. We each, for the last few pairs, have taken one from each, and that is going to continue, isn't it?
Yeah. We haven't really mentioned that, but after starting with 3 sweeps, it's just a checkerboard from then on, because we have Best Actress, Demi Moore for you, and
that was my pick,
Mikey Madison for me as my pick. Mikey for Michael. And indeed, Mikey came through for me. She won.
Yes, so this was one of the only awards of the night that it was genuinely 50-50.
Yeah.
A big award, of course, Best Actress, and it was either going to be Demi Moore or Mikey Madison. You had the first pick and picked Mikey Madison, and yeah, obviously you got it right. She is one of the youngest, of course, winners of Best Actress in history. I think the last youngest winner was Jennifer Lawrence, or last winner who was as young as her, or maybe even younger. Mikey Madison and Demi Moore went up against each other, just like, as people pointed out, very clever people on Twitter pointed out, it's kind of like The Substance, and Mikey Madison was playing the role of Margaret Qualley, because she's the young...
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, actress.
How meta. And on that note, let's talk about Best Actor, what we really care about. Or it was also a young fella versus an old fella, eh?
Yeah.
With Timothy Chalamet is what I picked, and you picked Adrian Brody.
Yes.
And you were right.
I had the first pick for this category in this pairing, and, for me, it was a toss-up, Brody or Chalamet, but I thought Brody would do it, because he seems to have more on his more momentum on his side, and thankfully for me he did win. Chalamet and his shitty Bob Dylan impression lost. No, I'm kidding, it was probably pretty good. Well, we'll see when we review it, of course, but yeah, this was the award that really confirmed to me that I was going to win. It put me in an unassailable position, because watching on the night, obviously the awards are not giving out in the order that we're going through them.
Yes.
And once Adrian Brody won, I was like, okay, I've beaten Michael. Thank God, I'm not going to suffer the embarrassment of losing to him. So yeah, shout out Adrian Brody. But yeah, these two awards, I don't know if this will happen next year, for instance, but they were very close to 50-50, both Best Actor and Actress. But despite that, the ones that we had the first pick on, we both got them right. So yeah.
Yeah. And so obviously this has been very tense so far, but fortunately for Best Picture, being so high stakes, we were allowed to, it didn't just come down to who got the luck of the draw.
Yes.
We were both able to pick whatever we wanted, and we both went for Anora, and we were both right to go for Anora, because we were both right.
Yeah, so this is, again, another... there are some years when there is no, I guess, drama, there is no tension. Certainly after Sean Baker won all those awards, Mikey Madison just won Best Actress. It was, the most unsurprising thing ever when Anora won, and we thought it would easily win, because, we both picked it. I think you thought The Brutalist could win it.
Yes.
But it did not. Yeah, it was definitely Anora's Night, which is, of course we have reviewed Anora, but we didn't review it within the context that, it had won Best Picture. I can't remember what you gave it out of 10. But I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I gave Anora like a low 6 or a high 5 because I found it a bit boring.
Yeah, well, it just wasn't, again, that interesting a movie. For me. It was a little bit interesting, and I appreciated some aspects of it. Of course, Mikey Madison gave a great performance. Yuri Borisov was good as well. He was nominated too, but it didn't blow you away. And the fact that this movie won Best Picture just shows, I think, what a weak year it was, to be honest, because it really wasn't anything special at all. But I can't look at any other movie and think, well, that movie definitely should have beaten Anora, because all of the movies, the best ones at least, are like, in the 8 to 7 range out of 10.
Yeah, there's no there's no 9s, there's no 10s.
Yeah, exactly.
I say that, of course, I actually, Luke, I'll admit now, there's a few of the ones we're still to look at that I haven't actually seen yet, so I could be blown away, but...
Yeah, but I look, maybe The Brutalist is incredible and will be like, wow, but I don't think it'll be that incredible. But maybe I'll be proved wrong. But again, it is 3 hours and 20 minutes. So yeah, it was just weird that, Anora had a great night, won everything, but it's really not that great. But it's not that bad either, so it's just like, meh, okay.
Yeah, it's like when Keir Starmer won in a landslide. It must have been because he was fantastic. I mean, how else could you win in a landslide?
Yeah, so obviously, nobody was really pissed that Anora won, but nobody was like, yes, thank God Anora won. On Twitter, it was just kind of like, oh yeah.
It also wasn't really against like any kind of like black, like there was no like politics around like some other movie. Like there wasn't like a Barbie situation where. Yeah.
Well, Barbie was never going to win.
Women. Yeah, I know, but like there were down ballot, as they say. There were some concerns there.
Yeah, but yeah, so hopefully next year there are better movies nominated for Best Picture, because the fact that Anora won isn't that surprising, but that's kind of disappointing in itself. Yeah. So there we go. The final score on the doors, because of course we get 2 points for Best Picture, was 13 for me, 10 for you, and that meant that I, of course, won. I got 65% of the available 20 points. You got 50%, of course. And yeah, this was because I was interested because we're doing this new format, how well I and you would do compared to our previous years, because of course we couldn't pick our first picks all the time. And this was my lowest scoring Oscars since 2021. So 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, you got to bear in mind that, like, obviously we should be expecting to get really low results because we were kind of obligated to pick wrong, or like knowingly pick what we wouldn't have picked.
Yes, but the first 2 years that we did this in 2019 and 2020, for those two Oscars, you actually did better this year than those 2 years.
Yay!
So yeah, there you go. But yeah, you got 75% the last 2 years, but unfortunately, this year was quite a big drop, which was to be expected.
Yes. At the end of the day, Anora isn't that good, but I think there have been I gave Crash a 1, which I do stand by, because that was such a stupid movie.
Oh yeah, but everyone knows how bad Crash was.
Yeah, I feel like, also, the other one that stands out to me is just like a very meh, like recent movie. Well, Coda kind of. But
Coda, yeah.
I was also thinking The Shape of Water. Like, Shape of Water was like weird, which is like kind of fun, but I'm also like, whenever I watch, when I watched it, I was like, it's very strange to me that this is like a Best Picture movie about a chick banging an alien.
Yeah, I gave Shape of Water, I think, a 7 out of 10. So there have not been great movies, in the recent past. And again, I think Anora is better than some of the recent winners, but it's not, it's below average. So that's why it's disappointing. So yeah, let's hope it gets better next year. So thank you for joining us on our Oscar predictions extravaganza. Anything to say, Michael?
Oh, I guess we can just let Johnny play that music he loves to play.
Yeah, hit that music, Johnny.